Someone paid $200,000 for a Star Wars helmet that was never on a film set. Someone else lost $60,000 on a figure made in a factory last year. The scams inside this market are sophisticated, nearly invisible, and have cost collectors millions that were never recovered. This is how it happens, and how to make sure it never happens to you. Andrew Ainsworth made the original Stormtrooper helmets for Star Wars in 1976. He was a prop maker and model builder in the UK, approached by a colleague involved in the production who needed someone to fabricate the iconic white armor from Ralph McQuarrie's concept designs. Ainsworth built the prototypes from scratch, got them approved by George Lucas, and produced the helmets used in the film. He was one of the craftsmen responsible for one of the most recognizable designs in the history of cinema. He was paid for his work. The transaction was complete. He went back to his regular life. Then, in the late 1980s, Ainsworth needed money. He went back to his workshop at what had become Shepperton Design Studios, found that the original production molds were still in the stockroom, and started making more helmets. He sold them as props, items made from the original molds, by the man who made the originals, which in the collector world carries enormous implied value and blurs the line between replica and authentic in a way that is genuinely difficult to resolve. Lucasfilm found out. They filed suit in California, where courts sided with Lucasfilm immediately, finding copyright infringement and awarding damages. They pursued Ainsworth in the UK, where the legal battle ran for almost a decade through multiple courts before reaching the UK Supreme Court in 2011. The court ruled in a landmark decision, formerly known as Lucasfilm Limited versus Ainsworth, that the Stormtrooper helmets were not sculptures under UK copyright law, but functional industrial objects, allowing Ainsworth to continue selling replicas in the United Kingdom. He was permanently barred from selling them in the United States, where Lucasfilm's copyright claims were fully upheld. The legal fees from 9 years of litigation left Ainsworth in serious debt. He spent years unable to trade freely, paying down costs he had accumulated fighting a case that most of his advisors had told him was unwinnable. He was able to recover only when the release of The Force Awakens in 2015 drove a global surge in demand for Stormtrooper replicas that finally made his legitimate business profitable again. The lesson for collectors is not about Ainsworth specifically. His story is legally complex, and he genuinely made the originals. The lesson is what his case reveals about the broader market. If helmets made by the actual craftsmen who built the film's originals can end up in a legal gray zone that took 9 years in the UK Supreme Court to resolve, imagine the landscape for the thousands of replica helmets made by people with no connection to the production at all, sold by sellers claiming authenticity they cannot prove. The market for fake Stormtrooper helmets, fake Vader helmets, and fake original trilogy armor is enormous. Almost none of it is what sellers claim it is. The replica problem is about physical objects. The next scam is harder to see, because it happens inside a plastic case that looks completely legitimate. $200 million. That is the value of counterfeit and fraudulent trading cards intercepted by PSA, Professional Sports Authenticator, the world's leading grading company, in a single year. And PSA's own president has said that number is conservative. If they assumed PSA 10 values for every fraudulent card they caught, the figure could be north of $1 billion. This matters directly for Star Wars collectors. The 1977 Topps Series 1 cards, the first Star Wars trading cards ever produced, carrying the images that defined the franchise for the world, are among the most actively traded vintage cards in existence. A PSA 10 example of the Luke Skywalker No. 1 card sold for $268,000 in 2025. At that kind of money, the incentive to create convincing fakes is extraordinary. The scam operates in several ways. The most common is the fake slab, a counterfeit PSA holder that looks visually identical to a genuine one, containing a card that is either a reprint, an altered original, or a lower-grade card that has been trimmed and cleaned to appear gem mint. The PSA certification number on the label is real, pulled from a legitimate card in PSA's registry. But the card inside is not the one that was actually graded. Buyers who do not know to cross-reference the certification number on PSA's online verification tool will not know the difference until it is too late. The more sophisticated version involves altered cards submitted directly to grading companies by fraudsters, hoping they will pass authentication. Trimmed edges to improve centering, cleaned surfaces to remove marks, rebacked cards where a lower grade front is attached to a higher grade back to create a composite that reads as better condition than either component actually is. PSA's 2025 fraud report noted that counterfeit submissions rose 45% year over year. They now invest more than 80,000 hours annually in specialized training to detect these methods. For Star Wars card collectors specifically, the advice is direct and non-negotiable. Every PSA graded card has a certification number. Every certification number can be verified at the PSA website. Cross-reference the number before completing any significant purchase. If a seller cannot provide the certification number before you buy, walk away. The card in that slab may not be the card that was graded. The grading scam is about paper and plastic. This next one is about a signature, and it has been fooling collectors for decades. Harrison Ford does not sign very much. He is famously reluctant at public events, known for declining the majority of in-person signing requests at conventions and premieres, and has rarely participated in the kind of organized mass signing sessions that produce large, documented volumes of authenticated signatures. When he does sign, it is usually brief, often hurried, and typically without any formal third-party witnessing. Genuine Harrison Ford autographs on Star Wars material are rare, genuinely difficult to obtain, and command prices that reflect exactly that difficulty, which makes them exactly the kind of item that forgers target. The Star Wars autograph market has been aware of the Ford problem for years. Collector communities online maintain detailed photographic archives comparing known authentic examples, signed in person at verifiable events, with witness documentation and consistent provenance, against the signatures that circulate on eBay and through memorabilia dealers. The differences are clear to anyone who has studied the authentic examples carefully. Forgeries tend to be more uniform, more legible, and less hurried than Ford's genuine signature, which is characteristically rushed and has changed significantly across decades. What he signed in the 1980s looks different from what he signed in 1999, which looks different from what he signed in 2011. A seller offering a claimed 1977-era Ford signature that matches his current handwriting style is offering something that is almost certainly not what it claims to be. The same problem applies to Carrie Fisher's autograph, particularly since her death in 2016. Memorabilia experts warned publicly and immediately after Fisher's passing that her death created an instant market for forgeries. Prices for signed Fisher items rose sharply, and the incentive to produce convincing fakes rose with them. Genuine Fisher autographs on quality Star Wars material now sell for several $100s. Forged versions have been documented circulating at prices well above that, accompanied by certificates of authenticity from companies whose authentication standards carry no meaningful weight. This is the most important thing any collector needs to understand about certificates of authenticity. A COA is not a guarantee of anything. Any individual or company can produce a COA. The document is only as credible as the organization that issued it, and most organizations issuing COAs for autographed memorabilia do not have the expertise, the access to comparative materials, or the methodology required to make their opinion meaningful. The only question that matters is whether the authentication comes from a source whose methodology is credible and whose reputation is established over time. For Star Wars autographs, the recognized standard is SWAU, Star Wars Autograph Universe, which operates dedicated signing sessions directly with cast members and produces documentation that can be traced to the specific event, the specific date, and the specific people present. Autographs sold without SWAU authentication or equivalent direct provenance documentation should be treated with significant caution regardless of what paper accompanies them. Fake helmets, fake graded cards, fake autographs. And then there is the oldest scam in the vintage toy market, which is also the hardest to catch. The most common scam in Star Wars collecting does not involve million-dollar props or forged celebrity signatures. It involves a plastic accessory the size of your thumb, sold for $40, that is a reproduction presented as vintage original. Here is the specific mechanics of it. Original Kenner action figures came with tiny plastic weapons and accessories. Blasters, lightsabers, capes, staffs, helmets. Over decades of play, these accessories got lost, separated from their figures, swallowed by carpet, thrown out with bath toys. The market for replacement accessories grew to fill that gap. Manufacturers began producing reproductions, some honestly labeled, sold to collectors who needed to complete figures and did not mind using non-original parts. Others were not labeled honestly at all, and the visual differences between a well-made reproduction and a genuine vintage accessory are often subtle enough that casual buyers have no practical way to identify them. The reproduction problem now operates at industrial scale. Counterfeit vintage accessories are manufactured overseas, imported in bulk, and sold through eBay and private sales as original Kenner parts from the 1977 to 1985 production run. The physical differences between authentic and fake are real but require knowledge to spot. Slightly different plastic sheen, minor mold flash in different locations, color tones that are close but not exact. Buyers without deep knowledge of what to look for pay vintage prices for reproduction parts and may never find out they were deceived. The higher-end version of this scam involves complete figures. A genuine Kenner figure body, worth a few dollars, is combined with a reproduction accessory, placed on a reproduction card back designed to look vintage, and sold as a carded example of a figure at a price reflecting the card rather than the figure. The card is the value. The card is the fake. The most targeted figures are the ones commanding the highest prices. The Boba Fett variants, the double telescoping lightsaber figures, the vinyl cape Jawa, the early production variants that serious collectors pay tens of thousands of dollars to acquire. The market for convincing fakes of these specific figures is active and sophisticated. Reproduction double telescoping lightsabers exist. Reproduction vinyl capes exist. For any figure in the high 4-figure or 5-figure price range, independent authentication by a recognized expert is not optional. It is the only protection a buyer has. The collector community's best defenses are documented on specialist sites like Imperial Gunnery and Rebel Scum, which maintain photographic archives of authentic versus counterfeit accessories with side-by-side comparisons for the most commonly faked items. One test known across the community. Authentic vintage accessories are made with injected dye. The color goes through the plastic entirely. Reproduction parts are often painted on the surface. A light scrape on an inconspicuous area will leave paint residue on a reproduction. On an authentic vintage piece, nothing comes off. The reproduction problem has existed since the 1980s. The next scam is new. And it is specifically designed to exploit the people who are least prepared for it. Screen used. Two words that can add hundreds of thousands of dollars to the value of an object. A Stormtrooper helmet that is a prop house replica is worth a few $100s. A Stormtrooper helmet that was actually worn by an extra during the filming of A New Hope is worth over $200,000. The difference between those two numbers is entirely carried by two words and the documentation supporting them. And that gap is the single greatest financial risk in the entire Star Wars collecting market. This is where the most sophisticated and most financially damaging scams operate. The mechanism is straightforward. Take an accurate replica, or in some cases a legitimate prop from a different production, a different era, or a different studio entirely, add provenance documentation that places it on the set of an original trilogy film, and sell it as screen used. The documentation might be a letter from a former crew member, a photograph showing a similar helmet or costume on set, a production record that has been altered or fabricated entirely. In every case, the documentation is the entire game. The object itself is almost secondary. Authentication of screen-used Star Wars props requires a process called screen matching, comparing the specific physical characteristics of an object against high-resolution captures from the actual film footage to confirm the same object appears on screen. This is meticulous, expensive, time-consuming work that requires access to high-quality film scans and deep knowledge of the physical details of original production pieces. It is not something most buyers can perform independently. The major auction houses, Heritage, Prop Store, Bonhams, employ specialists who do this work as standard practice for any significant lot. That specialist infrastructure is a meaningful part of what their buyers' premiums pay for. The advice of experienced prop collectors is consistent and specific. Buy screen-used claims only through established auction houses whose authentication methodology is documented and whose reputation is built on decades of verified sales and public accountability. For private sales, claiming screen use requires screen matching documentation produced by an independent specialist before completing any transaction. A letter from a former crew member is not authentication. A production photograph showing a similar prop is not authentication. Screen matching against the actual film is authentication, and it is the only standard that holds when you are writing a check for 6 figures. The market for fraudulent screen-used Star Wars props is smaller than the market for fake accessories or autographs. The prices involved require more sophisticated buyers who are harder to fool. But the amounts lost when those buyers are fooled are correspondingly enormous. There is no practical recovery from paying $200,000 for a helmet that was never on any film set. The money is gone. The seller is often operating through channels that make them difficult or impossible to trace, and the lesson arrives too late to protect anything except the next buyer's judgment. 5 categories of scam. 5 ways the Star Wars collecting market is actively working against the people who love it most. The common thread across all of them is the same thing that makes this market extraordinary in the first place: the emotional weight that Star Wars carries for an entire generation of collectors who grew up with these films, these characters, these objects. That emotional investment is what drives prices to levels that most markets never reach. A toy that cost $2 just sold for $1.3 million. A gun that was in a parts bin for 40 years just sold for over $1 million. These numbers exist because people care deeply, personally, and sometimes in ways that make them willing to believe something is real before they have fully verified that it is. That willingness to believe is the most powerful force in any collector's psychology. And it is also the thing that the people running these scams understand better than almost anything else about their targets. The defenses are not complicated. They require discipline more than expertise. Buy from established auction houses with documented authentication processes. Cross-reference every graded card certification number before purchasing using PSA's online verification tool. Treat certificates of authenticity as a starting point for investigation, not a conclusion. For autographs, require provenance that traces directly to a witnessed signing event organized by a credible company. For screen-used claims, require screen-matching documentation produced by an independent specialist before committing any significant money. For vintage figures and accessories, study the physical differences between authentic and reproduction parts, and have significant purchases examined by a recognized expert before the transaction is complete. The Star Wars collecting world has genuine treasures in it, objects that connect directly to the making of something that mattered to hundreds of millions of people across generations. Those pieces are worth finding. They are worth the prices they command. They are worth protecting from decay, from loss, and from the people who build convincing copies of them and sell them to buyers who want too badly to believe. Know what you are buying. Know who you are buying it from. And know that the force is not always with the seller. Subscribe for more. There is a lot more of this world worth understanding.